Hi everyone, welcome back to the garden and welcome back to my series where I am growing zinnias to compete in this year's Orange County Fair. Today on my battle plan, I am going to be talking about watering, and in particular, consistent watering. Most gardeners will think whether they have a black thumb or a green thumb. The secret behind it is that they consistently water their plants. Gardeners who have black thumbs oftentimes just forget to water their plants or they overwater their plants. And my secret behind my beautiful garden is that I have an irrigation system. It is something that I put together myself, and it doesn't use a sprinkler system or anything. It is just hooked up to a regular hose bib with an automated timer. But that is the secret to my garden because I work a full-time job, and it's really, really challenging to make time to remember to go out into the garden every day at the same time to water the garden. And so I use an automated timer, which will help me set it and forget it and know that my garden is going to be watered. This helps a lot with making sure my plants get a very deep water. Deep watering is important because it ensures that the plant's roots go down very deeply and then expand. Plants that have very, very shallow roots up to close to the surface, because if you kind of just hand water, you kind of just willy-nilly spray things. Those roots kind of are just barely attached to the ground, and oftentimes wind will take it down, especially in really extremely hot weather like right now. Most of the country is in a heat wave. The top of our soils dry out very, very fast. So we want to make sure we protect the top of the soil so that any shallow rooted plants are protected. I personally use a mulch, but I don't use just any old mulch. I specifically use straw mulch. Straw is typically you'll see more in like vegetable gardens and not necessarily flower gardens, just because it has a very high like contrast and it doesn't look as pretty. But I find that straw mulch is beneficial for me because at the end of the season, I want that mulch to be able to break down and return back to the soil so that things like the worms can eat it and then help create a good ecosystem for my garden. So straw is very, very beneficial for me. Be very careful if you use straw, and don't mistakenly use hay. Hay has a lot of weed seeds in it, whereas straw is about 99% weed free. I personally don't also like using bark too much, especially really big chunky bark. You'll find it very low cost at big box stores. The big chunky mulch is too large of pieces to break down by the end of the season, and also you'll find that if you direct sow your seeds into the ground, the minute it hits a big piece of bark, will stop growing. It's really important that your soil and the mulch that you use is light and that a seedling can go through it. So let me show you my irrigation system that I have hooked up to my hose bib, and I'll talk about the strategic times that I use to water my plants to make sure that my plants get deeply watered every other day. So this is my rain point timer. So this is kind of connected to the hose bib, and it is also connected to my irrigation system. So this will control when the water turns on and for how long. So right now it is set for every other day. For 10 minutes. So here in Southern California, it's really important that we are being very water conscious. So I don't want to run my irrigation system every day, but I want to make sure that I run it at a very efficient manner. So every other day for 10 minutes works for me. When I get closer to mid to kind of like late July, I'm probably going to be going every day. So I water my plants every other day at 6:30 in the morning. So 6:30 is right kind of a little bit after sunrise for me. And this is a really good time to water because the soil is still very cool and the plants can take up all of the waters without risking evaporation like in the middle of the day at like noon. And I would not recommend watering in the evening. In the evening here in Southern California, we risk a lot of powdery mildew. So it's really important that we allow the leaves to dry as much as we possibly can throughout the day so that we don't risk having mold. This timer is connected to a pressure regulator. So this is really an important piece of my irrigation system. This ensures that there is even pressure going through the entire system. This makes sure that all of my little emitters doesn't just blow off. So think about like a really high pressured like pressure washer. That is very different pressure comparatively to like turning on the tap on your sink. And so this will make sure that it's a kind of like a softer flow of water versus like really, really high pressure. So after the pressure regulator, it is attached to a half-inch tubing that is going to be the main line that circles throughout my entire garden. And then I will show you how it gets connected to my drip tape. So this is our half-inch line that connects our entire water system together, and then we will kind of siphon off the water using connectors. So this is a drip tape connector which kind of taps into the main line, so we have to punch a hole to get it into this big black tube, and then from there we connect a drip tape, and the drip tape runs throughout my garden to water this bed. So in this big square bed in the middle, it has 4 lines of drip tape. Drip tape is used in a lot of large agricultural like row crops. So a farmer will use something like this to run about 100 feet in a crop bed to evenly water. Why is drip tape a little bit better than something like a soaker hose? So drip tape has an emitter. It comes in various emitter distances. So mine is every 6 inches. So there's going to be here, there's going to be 6 inches, and then there's going to be another one. So the water percolates up over the tube and down. Why we want the holes facing up is that in California we have a lot of hard water, and so the sediments and things like minerals, calcium, and things are going to settle at the bottom of the tube. So if this was flipped the other way and this hole was facing down, it would just get clogged. And so it's really important that we have it facing up, and that way the water will consistently flow. It doesn't matter if there's a bunch of sediment down here or not. So in this garden bed, this is about 2 feet deep, and in this 2 feet section, I have 2 rows of this drip tape running down. The other line is underneath the mulch. You preferably want to kind of bury this line a little bit so that it is protected from the sun. UV damage is definitely a real thing, and so to protect and keep the longevity of these tubes, we want to bury it under the mulch. We don't necessarily want to bury it under the soil, under the mulch, because it's lighter. It will retain its quality. I'll give you a little bit of a status update on our zinnias. These are about 4 weeks in the ground, so we do have some buds starting to form. And so these ones that have the buds right now, I did not pinch. So pinching means kind of like literally pinching it like right here to encourage side branching of the plant. I want to make sure that I have blooms available to submit to the judges on July 18th. So I'm going to not pinch these right now and just cut very deeply when I am making my bloom selection for the competition. But I did pinch some of them. So this one right here, I pinched right there, and then it comes up with a very large side shoot. And then here's a very sad preview of one of the flowers. This is definitely not one I would submit to the judges. Way too small. And this one I'm probably going to sacrifice, and hopefully one of these side buds will be a bigger selection. This right here is, I believe, Queen Lime Blush, which doesn't have the limey color. So this one is definitely did not start off very good. So I'm hoping the next bloom would be better. So drip irrigation can seem very scary and very daunting when you're looking at all the different kits. Just think of it like Tetris shapes. There's going to be things that look like T's. There's going to things that look like a little stick. Just kind of like think of it like you're building a pathway, and where do you want your path to go? And that's kind of where you're aligning your system to kind of circle around your garden. A good rule of thumb is if you're going to be using spaghetti tubing, which is the really thin one, is you don't want to go more than like 3 feet with that. So if you think that you're going to use spaghetti tubing to go all the way around your garden, I would not advise that, just because you'll start to lose pressure at the end of that spaghetti tubing if you think you're going to go run really far. So if you are planning on running it throughout your entire garden, go with at least a 1/2 inch tube as your main line, and then tap into that with your spaghetti tubings or your drip tape. And then with your irrigation system, I would do a check every month. So turn it on and like watch it run. Because if we are watering early in the morning, you might not be awake to see the whole watering process, and there might be a leak somewhere that you aren't aware of. Any emitters that may have popped off. So maybe your pets accidentally bit a hole in the emitter tubes where you now need to go replace it. And replacing it is as easy as popping off the whatever is broken and then connecting it with some more pieces. So it really is not as daunting as it seems. It takes a little practice. Can tell you this, you will not regret it. It will be a game changer in how your garden grows and how it produces. Consistent watering is the key to a good garden. So I hope you learned a lot about irrigation systems and consistent watering in the garden today. And if you want to keep following along on our journey to winning that blue ribbon at the Orange County Fair, please like and subscribe, and I will see you later. See ya!